Rain slid down the rusted zinc roof like tears from a tired sky. In a cramped one-room apartment in Lagos, the aroma of frying akara mingled with the scent of damp earth. Amelia's laughter rose above the storm, soft, rich, and full of warmth. The kind of laugh that could make even poverty feel less cruel. She was 35, round-bodied, radiant, and alive. Her skin glowed with honest sweat. Her eyes carried the kind of kindness that made strangers speak their secrets. Amelia wasn't the kind of beauty that men boasted about in bars. She was the kind that built homes, stitched broken spirits, and fed the hungry with her smile. Across the small room, Charles sat on the edge of the bed, shirt half-buttoned, tie dangling, his shoulders bowed beneath invisible burdens. "Amelia," he muttered, "sometimes I wonder if life forgot about me." Amelia wiped her hands on a towel and walked over. "Life didn't forget you, Charles. It's just watching to see how strong you are before it rewards you." She took his tired hands, the same hands that once trembled when he promised her forever beneath a borrowed canopy, and pressed them to her heart. "You'll sit in your own office someday," she whispered, "with air condition blowing like Harmattan breeze. You'll wear a suit so fine even the sun will stop to admire you." Charles chuckled weakly. "You and your dreams, Amelia." "I don't dream," she said, smiling. "I believe." That belief kept their home alive. When the gas finished, she built a small fire in the backyard. When rain leaked through the roof, she placed bowls and sang to drown the noise. And when hunger crept in, she fried akara before dawn and sold them to sleepy commuters who called her Madam Smile. At night, she tucked their 2 children, Precious and Junior, into a single bed and prayed softly over them. "God, give their father strength. Give me patience, and give this family tomorrow." The world outside didn't know Amelia's name, but heaven did. 2 years later, hope arrived disguised as opportunity. A customer buying akara mentioned a vacancy at her company. "They need smart men," she told Amelia. "Clerks, office assistants, drivers." Amelia's eyes lit up. She dashed home, flour still dusting her cheeks. "Charles," she called. "Wear your best shirt, the blue one. Comb your hair quick. There's an interview happening today." Charles frowned. "Those people won't take someone like me." "If you don't go, I'll drag you there myself," she snapped, laughter hiding her desperation. "You're a man with a brain. Let the world see it." He went, and 2 weeks later the letter came. He'd been hired. Amelia danced like a child. She rolled on the floor, clapped her hands, and cried out, "Jehovah, you have done it!" From that day, their story began to change. Charles left home early wearing a borrowed tie. Amelia watched him from the doorway, pride swelling in her chest. She packed his lunch in the same basket she once used for akara. Months passed. The salary was small, but the joy was great. They saved, scraped, and prayed. Then came promotions, one then another. Charles's diligence shone bright enough to blind humility. Within 5 years, he rose from clerk to manager. They moved into a 2-bedroom flat, painted cream and gold. On moving day, Amelia touched the old leaking roof and whispered, "Thank you for sheltering us." Charles laughed. "You're the only woman I know who thanks a roof," she smiled. Gratitude keeps blessings flowing. Life grew softer. Better food, school uniforms, small jewelry, and finally, a second-hand car. But with comfort came distance. Charles now spent evenings at after-work bars, surrounded by colleagues whose wives looked like magazine covers. He began to see his own wife through their eyes. One night, as Amelia served dinner, he stared at her midsection and muttered, "Amelia, this your stomach? It's getting too big. Try small diet, eh?" She laughed nervously. "Ah, my husband, this stomach fed you when you had nothing," he smirked. That was then. Times have changed. The word stung. Days later, he joked about her arms at a party. "Like yam tubers," he said. Their friends laughed. Amelia laughed too, but inside her chest something cracked quietly. Still, she stayed patient. "Where we are doesn't matter," she'd once told him. "Who we are matters more." But the man she loved was changing. At night, When he came home smelling of new perfume, she turned to the wall and prayed again. Not for wealth this time, but for mercy. The morning sun slipped through the curtains like a reluctant guest. Amelia stood before the mirror, wearing a new red gown she had sewn for church. The fabric hugged her curves gently. Her eyes sparkled with a hope she hadn't felt in weeks. Charles was seated on the couch, scrolling through his phone, the reflection of his new world glowing on the screen. Amelia took a deep breath and asked softly, "How do I look, my love?" Charles looked up once, his face blank. "You look like a bag of rice tied with ribbon." The words hit harder than any slap. Her smile vanished. "What did you say?" He shrugged. "You heard me. Stop wasting money sewing gowns when you should be reducing weight." She turned away quickly, blinking back tears before the children saw. That night, while he slept, Amelia lay awake staring at the ceiling. She remembered the days when he had nothing, when she sold a cara to pay his transport fare, when she pawned her earrings to buy him shoes. "God," she whispered, "I don't understand. I loved him when he was broken, and now he despises me for the same love that fed him. Please fix my home." But heaven was quiet. Each day became a battlefield fought in silence. Charles's laughter faded, replaced by irritation. The house that once rang with joy now echoed with criticism. "Amelia, you smell of palm oil again." "Amelia, stop breathing so loud." "Amelia, move!" "You're blocking the light." Even the children noticed. One evening, Precious whispered, "Mommy, why is Daddy always angry with you?" Amelia smiled weakly. "Daddy's just tired from work, my darling." But when she turned away, her eyes filled again. The more Charles climbed in status, the more Amelia's presence embarrassed him. He bought designer suits, joined exclusive clubs, and started staying late at meetings. Then came her Norah, a woman whose laughter was perfume and whose beauty was sharp enough to draw blood. Slim, dark-skinned, with lips painted red and dresses that clung like secrets. She met Charles at a corporate event and whispered compliments that filled the holes pride had carved in his ego. "You deserve a woman who matches your class," she said softly. "Not one who reminds you of where you started." That was the beginning of the end. Charles began coming home later and later, smelling not of his usual cologne, but of someone else's. Amelia noticed, but she chose silence over war. She told herself it was stress, that maybe love, like a candle, just needed patience to burn bright again. But the flame was already dying. It happened on a Saturday morning, beneath the cruel light of a Lagos sun. Amelia woke early, humming softly as she fried yams and stirred egg sauce, Charles's favorite breakfast. She dressed the children neatly, set the table, and waited with the kind of hope that hurts. When Charles emerged from the bedroom, his new polo shirt crisp and expensive, Amelia smiled shyly. "Darling, come eat. The children miss breakfast with you." He looked at her, sweat glistening on her forehead, apron tied around her full waist, and sneered. "You disgust me, Amelia. Always sweating, always smelling of food. Look at you." Her hand trembled. The spoon clattered against the plate. The children froze. "Mommy, don't cry," Junior whispered. But it was too late. Tears rolled down her cheeks as Charles grabbed his car keys. "I can't live like this anymore." "You've become a burden." He stormed out, leaving silence heavy enough to crush hearts. That night, when he returned smelling of wine and perfume, Amelia gathered her courage. "Charles," she began softly, "please tell me the truth. Is there another woman?" He turned sharply, eyes burning. "Are you mad? Who do you think you are to question me? Look at yourself. Fat, sweaty, local. You should be grateful I still let you stay in my house." Her knees weakened. "After everything I did for you. After all the nights I prayed for you," he cut her off with a hiss. "Enough!" He grabbed his car keys again and slammed the door behind him. Amelia sank to the floor, sobbing into her palms as the children ran to hold her. "Mommy, don't cry." Daddy didn't mean it, but he did. Days turned to weeks. Charles spent more time with Norah, buying her wigs, perfumes, and gold bracelets, while Amelia sold a cara again just to feed the children. neighbors whispered. "See Amelia, the manager's wife, frying akara again. Shame." Their laughter cut deep, but she endured. "Let them laugh," she told herself. God sees everything. One afternoon, she met Norah face to face. Charles's car pulled up near their street just as Amelia was returning from the market. Norah stepped out, sleek and smiling, her red lips curving into cruelty. "So you're the wife?" she said slowly, eyes scanning Amelia from head to toe. "Now I understand why he's ashamed of you. Look at you, fat, old, and miserable. You should thank me for taking him off your hands." Amelia's basket almost slipped from her grip. Her lips trembled, but she said nothing. Words were useless against such venom. She simply walked away, head bowed, heart bleeding. That night, she begged Charles one last time. "Please, Charles, don't let that woman destroy our home. Think of the children." Charles turned on her with blazing eyes. "If not for those children, I would have thrown you out long ago. You're too fat, too old, too local. I regret ever marrying you." The words struck like thunder. Amelia fell to her knees, crying so hard the walls seemed to echo her pain. And then, like a storm reaching its peak, it happened. The next day, Charles returned home furious. His brother Theseus had confronted him about his cruelty. In his rage, he dragged Amelia by the arm. "You went to report me? You shameless woman." He slapped her. Once, twice. The sound filled the house. "Get out of my house," he roared. "Charles, please," she begged through tears. "Not in front of the children." "Out." He threw her bag outside and shoved her toward the door. Precious screamed and ran to her. "Mommy, don't go!" Junior clung to her wrapper. "Mommy, please!" Amelia knelt, hugging them tightly. "My babies, I love you. I'll come for you." "I promise," Charles barked. "Children inside, now!" They refused to move, their cries following Amelia as she stepped barefoot into the street. The sound of the door slamming behind her echoing like a coffin lid sealing shut. Amelia walked through the dust and dusk until she reached her old friend Amaka's house. When Amaka opened the door and saw her swollen face, she gasped. "Jesus, Amelia." "What happened?" Amelia broke. "He beat me and threw me out." Amaka pulled her into an embrace. "You'll stay here. You'll be safe. Forget that man. He doesn't deserve your tears." But Amelia shook her head. "It hurts, Amaka. I gave him everything. I carried him when he was nothing." Amaka squeezed her hand gently. "Sometimes God breaks your heart to save your soul. You'll rise again, my sister. You'll rise." That night, as Amelia lay on the couch, she whispered into the darkness, "God, I don't understand your plan, but please don't let my children forget me." Outside, the night wind answered with silence. But somewhere far above, a star flickered like a promise not yet broken. Days turned into weeks, and the world inside Charles's home grew colder than marble. Norah had moved in. Her perfume filled every corner of the house Amelia once kept warm with laughter. Curtains changed, photos vanished, and Amelia's presence was erased like chalk in the rain. When Precious and Junior came home from school, Norah met them with painted smiles and sharp words. "I'm your new mommy now," she said sweetly. Junior frowned. "You're not our mommy. Our mommy is Amelia," Charles's voice thundered. "Enough, you will respect her." The children ran to their room, crying. Norah laughed softly, resting her head on Charles's shoulder. "Let them cry, baby. They'll get used to me. That fat woman is gone for good." Charles smiled weakly, but deep inside, guilt gnawed at him. At night, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The silence was suffocating. The laughter that once filled the house had vanished, replaced by Norah's constant humming and the clinking of her wine glass. Sometimes, when he closed his eyes, he heard Amelia's voice, gentle, forgiving. "Darling, please eat before it gets cold." He'd open his eyes, but there would be only Norah, scrolling through her phone, legs crossed, indifferent. Meanwhile, Amelia was rebuilding from ashes. Amaka's small apartment became her refuge. She woke before dawn, helped her friend clean, and sold akara by the roadside again, the same way she had years ago. But this time, Her spirit carried a quiet fire. Each night she sat by the window, whispering prayers that melted into tears. God, give me strength, not for me, but for my children. One afternoon, she heard a familiar knock, small, urgent. She opened the door and froze. "Mommy!" Precious cried, running into her arms. Junior followed, his face streaked with tears. "My babies," Amelia gasped, kneeling to hold them tight. "How did you—" Precious sobbed. "We ran away. Daddy's girlfriend shouts at us. We just wanted to see you." Amelia wept, kissing their faces. "My loves, my heart." "You're safe now." Amaka appeared at the door, eyes wide. "Jesus, Amelia. What will you do when he finds out?" Amelia looked at her children, then at the heavens. "I don't know, but even if I die, I'll die as their mother." And as if fate had been listening, that same evening, Charles stormed into Amaka's house. He burst through the door, his voice sharp with anger. "So this is where you hide them? You came here to steal my children?" Amelia stood tall. "I didn't take them. They came on their own. They missed me," he glared, fists trembling. "You think I'm a fool? You want to ruin my name again?" Little Precious stepped forward, tears on her cheeks. "Daddy, she's not lying. We came because we love Mommy." For a brief moment, his pride cracked. He saw his daughter's trembling lips, his son's terrified eyes, and something deep inside him faltered, but only for a moment. "Enough!" he barked. "I'm done with this nonsense." He turned and stormed out, slamming the door. Amelia collapsed into a chair, sobbing quietly as her children clung to her. Amaka rubbed her back softly. "Don't cry, my sister. Even storms run out of rain." But the storm in Charles's life was only just beginning. Norah was growing restless. The glitter of her new life was beginning to dull. One morning, she stood by the mirror, applying red lipstick, and said coldly, "Charles, I'm bored. You don't take me anywhere anymore. What's the point of living like this?" Charles sighed, tired. "Norah, I have work." "I'm busy," she turned sharply. "You weren't busy when you were chasing me. Now that you have me, I'm invisible." He rubbed his temples. "Please, not today. Then give me money," she snapped. "I need a new car. I just bought you one last month. That one's too small. I want a Jeep." Charles's patience broke. "Norah, I'm not a bank." Her eyes flashed. "Then maybe I need a new man who is." The silence that followed was sharper than glass. That night, Charles couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, haunted by his own reflection in her words. He thought of Amelia again, her patience, her loyalty, her love that never demanded anything but kindness. The next day, his boss called him into the office. "Charles," he said sternly, "your performance has dropped. You've missed deadlines, skipped meetings. Don't let personal issues destroy your career." Charles nodded quietly, shame burning his face. That evening, he drove home early, hoping to make peace. But as he opened the door, laughter spilled out. A man's laughter. His stomach twisted. He walked in slowly. And there she was, Norah, in a silk robe, sitting on the couch with another man, glasses of wine between them. Charles's voice broke. "Norah, who is this?" Norah turned lazily, unfazed. "Oh, you're back early. Answer me. Who is this man sitting in my house?" The stranger stood up nervously. "Bro, calm down. Don't call me bro," Charles roared. "Get out." Norah rolled her eyes. "Stop shouting. He's just a friend." "Just a friend?" Charles repeated, trembling. "In my house? Half-dressed?" She stood up, her expression cold. "Don't act innocent, Charles. You threw your fat wife out and ran to me. Now you're crying because I'm doing the same thing to you?" Her words struck like a bullet. He stepped back, eyes wide, tears forming. "Norah, after everything?" She shrugged. "You made your choice. Live with it." He turned, silent, and walked out into the night. Rain began to fall, cold and heavy. Inside the car, his hands shook on the steering wheel. Her words echoed again and again. "You threw your fat wife out." He saw Amelia's face, her tears, her kindness, her prayers. He whispered, "God, what have I done?" Then, out of nowhere, a truck swerved. Headlights blinded him. Tires screeched. The world exploded in metal and pain. When Charles opened his eyes, everything was white. Lights, walls, bandages. His legs felt like stone. Machines beeped beside him. His brother Theseus stood near the bed, eyes red. "Brother," Charles croaked. "My legs! I can't move my legs." Theseus took a deep breath. "You had a bad accident. The doctor says you'll walk again. But not soon. You'll need a wheelchair for now." Charles turned his face to the wall, tears rolling silently. For the first time, he tasted his own helplessness, the kind Amelia once bore quietly while holding their family together. Theseus placed a hand on his shoulder. "Maybe this is God's way of teaching you what you refuse to learn." Outside, rain whispered against the window, soft, cold, and merciless. Charles sat by the hospital window, his reflection blurred in the glass. He no longer saw a proud man, only the shadow of who he used to be. When he looked down, he saw the wheelchair, cold and silent, mocking his arrogance. He remembered how Amelia used to kneel by the bed to polish his shoes, how she rubbed his back after long days, how she whispered, "Don't give up, my love." The memory cut deep. Theseus arrived one morning carrying a small bag of food. "How are you today?" Charles forced a smile. "Alive, that's something." Theseus nodded quietly. "I went by your house." Charles's eyes darkened. "And? She's gone," Theseus said flatly. Packed her things and left. No note. No forwarding address. Charles's shoulders sagged. "She left me too." Silence filled the room. The only sound was the slow, rhythmic beeping of the monitor beside the bed. Later that week, Charles was discharged. Theseus helped him into the car, his body weak, his spirit broken. When they reached home, Norah was sitting at the dressing table painting her nails. She looked up, frowned, and muttered, "So you're back." Charles sighed. "The doctor says I'll need a wheelchair for now." Norah crossed her arms. "That's your business," Jesus' jaw tightened. "That's all you have to say?" She shrugged. "What do you want from me?" "Sympathy?" He glared. "You destroyed his home, now you abandon him when he needs you most?" Norah laughed coldly. "Did I force him to throw his wife out? He chose me. I didn't marry him. And I'm not about to become his nurse." Charles looked down, tears sliding down his face. "Norah, please." "Don't go." But she was already packing. "I don't have time for crippled men who can't pay my bills. Goodbye, Charles." The door slammed. Charles sat still, the silence screaming louder than her heels ever did. For the first time, he felt true emptiness, not just of love, but of soul. When Theseus came later that evening, he found his brother still in the same spot, eyes red, face wet. "She's gone," Charles whispered. Theseus nodded. "Let her go. She was never yours." Charles covered his face. "Brother?" "I destroyed my life. I mocked the only woman who loved me. I ruined my home." Theseus placed a hand on his shoulder. "You can't change the past, Charles, but you can face it. Go to her. Apologize. Even if she never comes back, free yourself." Charles nodded slowly, trembling. "Please help me find her." Theseus sighed, staring at his brother, broken, humbled, human at last. "I will, but understand forgiveness isn't a right. It's a gift, and you may not deserve it." 2 days later, Theseus found Amelia. She was sitting in a small office, her new job as a secretary at a local firm. Papers lay neatly arranged on the desk. Her posture was calm, her smile tired but peaceful. "Brother Theseus," she said, standing. "What brings you here?" He smiled gently. "Amelia, can we talk?" They stepped outside to a quiet bench shaded by an almond tree. The afternoon sun bathed everything in gold. Theseus spoke softly. "Charles had an accident. His legs were badly injured. He can't walk for now. Norah left him." Amelia froze. "Jesus!" Her voice trembled. Is he alive?" Theseus nodded. "Alive, but empty. He asked me to find you, not to beg you to return, but to beg for forgiveness." Amelia's eyes glistened. "He hurt me, brother. He made me believe I was nothing. Every word, every insult, it still echoes in my heart." "I know," Theseus said gently, "but you've always been stronger than the pain. Forgive him, not for his sake, for your peace." For a long moment, Amelia said nothing. Then she whispered, "I forgave him long ago, but I never thought I'd see him again." Theseus smiled faintly. "Then come with me, see him. End this storm." That evening, they arrived at Charles's house. The once proud man sat by the window, staring into emptiness. When the door opened, he turned and froze. "Amelia," he whispered. She stood there in a simple gown, her eyes filled with tears but not anger. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Charles began to cry. "I don't deserve to look at you. I mocked your body. I mocked your love. I threw you out like trash. God punished me with my own pride." Amelia stepped closer, voice trembling. "Charles, I carried that pain for too long. I cried until I had no tears left. But I realized something. Bitterness is another kind of prison." He lowered his head. "Can you ever forgive me?" She knelt beside his wheelchair, her hand resting gently on his. "I already have. Not because you deserve it, but because I refuse to let hatred own me." He broke down completely, sobbing into his palms. "You are gold, Amelia." "And I threw away gold for dust," she smiled softly. "No, Charles. You just didn't recognize its worth." From the doorway, Theseus watched quietly, tears glistening in his eyes. In the days that followed, Amelia began visiting often. She helped Charles with his meals, gave him his medicine, and spoke with quiet grace. The children came on weekends, filling the house once more with laughter that had been missing for years. Charles worked hard at therapy. Every step was agony, but each time he faltered, Amelia was there. "Come on, Charles," she'd whisper. "One more step. You can do it." And one afternoon, under the watchful eyes of his family, he stood. Wobbly, trembling, but standing. Tears streamed down his face. "I can feel my legs," Amelia smiled through her tears. God still writes stories of second chances. Months passed. The home, once filled with pride and pain, now echoed with laughter again. Charles learned to walk with a stick. Amelia, stronger than ever, managed her job and her rebuilt home with quiet dignity. One cool evening, they sat outside watching the sunset, the sky painted in gold and violet. Charles turned to her. "You know, I used to think love was about beauty and shape. Now I know it's about the heart that stays when everyone else leaves." Amelia nodded. "And I've learned that forgiveness doesn't make you weak. It sets you free," he smiled, eyes glistening. "Thank you, Amelia, for everything." She looked at him gently. "Thank God, not me. He broke us to rebuild us stronger." The wind carried her words softly, as if the heavens themselves listened. As dusk deepened, Charles reached for her hand. "Can we start again?" Amelia looked out at the glowing horizon. "Let's start with peace. The rest will come." And as the evening breeze brushed their faces, it carried away the bitterness of the past, leaving behind only grace, the quiet. Enduring grace of love reborn from ruin. Pride can shatter the things love builds, but forgiveness, the kind that costs tears, time, and courage, can rebuild what pride destroys. Never forget the ones who stood by you when you had nothing. Because when the world turns its back, true love is the hand that never lets go.